Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ, where we help you lead with purpose and succeed with impact. If you're ready to grow into the kind of leader others want to follow, this podcast is for you. If you're determined to elevate your success and leave a lasting legacy, this podcast is for you. As my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our goal is simple: to inspire you, challenge you, and equip you with insights that can transform the trajectory of your leadership journey. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.
Where does a coach belong? Should they be ahead of you, clearing the path for you, or behind you, cheering you on? Actually, it's neither. The coach's place is by your side, helping you find your footing each step of the way. Hi, I'm Brigadier General Retired Twanda E. Young, a Maxwell Leadership Certified Coach. I am passionate about personal development in all forms, but my specialty is coaching. I get up every morning excited because I get to watch my clients achieve their goals. There's nothing quite as satisfying as walking alongside someone as they become the person they want to be. And if you have a goal you're striving toward, or even if you just are looking for some direction on your way, I want to partner with you in the process. John Maxwell has been one of the world's foremost leadership and personal growth experts for more than 40 years. And as a John Maxwell certified coach, I am uniquely and powerfully resourced to help you accomplish anything. What does your dream need from you? What do you need to do? Who do you need to meet? Where do you need to spend your time and resources? As your coach, I'll be here to guide you toward the answers to all of those questions. I want to help you make uncertain certain. Together, supported by proven, effective self-development principles, we will put a plan in place that grows you steadily toward your goal. The greatest investment you can make is in yourself. Let's do it together. Contact me today and start making your dreams a reality.
All right, that was our special guest today, Brigadier General Twanda E. Young. And before I bring her on the platform, about our moment of gratitude, right? Something we do every single time we meet. We would like to just take a moment and be grateful for one thing. And for those who've been following the show for a while, we do this because in the military, it's about 21, 22 people who commit suicide, not every month, not every year, but every single day, veteran and service member. And we believe it's impossible to be suicidal and be grateful at the very same time. So if you would just take a moment and think about one thing that you are grateful for right now. And for me, like it's been since Juneteenth, I am really, really grateful for freedom. I believe that every human being was created in the image of God, and we were created to be absolutely free. That's why no human being would ever be satisfied to be a slave of somebody else. I am not the furniture. I am not somebody's no, I don't know, things, right? I do not belong to anybody else but to myself. I was born to be free. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty. We are free at last, MLK said. So let me see if I can properly introduce our guest today. We are going to be talking to a legend, very, very inspirational leader. Because the question I have is, what happens when a leader has the courage to look in the mirror and listen before speaking, choose conviction over applause, and develop people others may overlook. Well, you're going to be joining me today for another powerful episode of the Leadership and Success podcast featuring Brigadier General Twanda E. Young. General Young brings more than 3 decades of distinguished military and civilian leadership experience. During her Army career, she led at increasingly consequential level, including serving as the Deputy Commanding General of the U.S. Army Human Resources Command. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she led a team of more than 3,500 people while helping execute the Army's Retiree recall mission during an extraordinary national crisis. And today, she continues developing the next generation of leaders through teaching, coaching, writing, and LT-free leadership solution. Actually, she has a very special offer for 2 of the people listening right now. And this conversation is really going to get personal. We will dedicate part of our discussion on a best-selling book, Dare to Lead Differently. And we are also going to mention 4 more of her books where she is a contributor. But part of what we're going to be learning today is why leadership begins with self-awareness, not with rank or title, but also how one person believing in someone's potential can really change the trajectory of a life. So without any further ado, please help me welcome to the Leadership and Success podcast, the one and only General.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Hey, a couple of
Right.
things on there, I was like, ooh, bad hair day, bad hair day.
No, you really look fantastic. I guess, General, they say blacks don't crack. I think that is absolutely true. You have so much energy. I see you on LinkedIn and social media everywhere. It's like you are in your 20s or something, having the time of your life. It's really beautiful to see. Thank you for being such a great inspiration, ma'am.
Thank you for the honor. You talked about the gratitude, and I am grateful for the opportunity to be on your show and to share value and hopefully touch someone with what I say, inspire them to make a change for the better.
Absolutely. And it looks like that's really seems like what you were born to do, both in and out of uniform. Maybe to get started, ma'am, what is something you are grateful for right now?
I am grateful for the opportunity to be able to share value,
Yes.
regardless of where I am, what room I walk into. My goal is always to leave it better. And I know this is cliche for the military, leave it better than I found it, but leave someone inspired.
That is really powerful. And actually, I didn't realize that you were a Maxwell leadership coach as well. I was certified, I think, back during the pandemic. I mean, it was 2022 or maybe 2020, 2021. But I've been following Dr. Maxwell since I was like 16, 17 years old. And I finally got to meet him in 2007. This man really impacted my life a lot for sure. And he always preaches about valuing people and adding value to people. It's really something. If I may ask, ma'am, is there something about you that most people may not know when they first meet you? Maybe something unique or superpower or something?
Superpower. Okay. I will tell you, probably they don't know that I'm a recording artist.
Wow. That, okay, I am surprised because my team we do a very, very great research at you recording anything. Have you recording an album, ma'am?
I recorded on Lamar Campbell in Spirit of Praise. I Need Your Spirit.
Wow.
Track 6 and track 8 is actually me singing.
That is amazing. Okay. Because the other thing is for this podcast, I also have a playlist on Apple Music. I'm going to make sure to add that song there. That is amazing. Wow. Okay. I am just so amazed because as you can say, I play the keyboard. I've been playing the piano
I see.
since I was about 7 years old, but my entire family, we are all musical. My wife has been playing the piano since she was like 12 or 13, and both of my kids as well. And of course, all of them sing much better than I do. Wow, that is really, really amazing. Uh, how how long have you been singing? When did you start?
The earliest I can remember is at the age of 5.
Wow, so young. That is powerful. I definitely need to hear that song with Lamar Campbell. That is amazing. Oh well, before we talk about becoming a brigadier general, if you could take us back, ma'am, to Darlington, South Carolina, who was young Tia, and what did that little girl believe was possible for her life?
Oh, wow. She was a bad little kid. I tell you that. I am the youngest of seven. My parents, Pastor Annie Lou Williamson, who's 91 now, and my
Wow.
dad, Deacon Willie James Williamson, who's 92, pastors a church called St. Paul True Line Pentecostal Holiness Church in Douglasville, South Carolina.
Mm.
During that time when Tia was young, many of your people who probably Google me see Twanda, but my nickname is Tia, and my mama calls me Tyler. And
Mm.
from an early age, I've always been taught to be a giver.
Yes.
Not that I liked it, but that's what my mom and my dad modeled in front of me. I've always seen them be servants in the community, giving back to
Mm.
others. But Tia was this rambunctious, the kid that always, had something to say, had a question to ask. I'd be in the kitchen with my mom and she's trying to teach me how to cook. And I want to know, why do you have to put this much salt in? Parents are like, you just sprinkle it in, they don't measure it out, So she would run me out of the kitchen because I had too many questions that I was asking, why you got to do this and got to do that. But I've always been very
Wow.
curious.
That is amazing. Now, most people may not know this, but I know that because of the research we did. Did you used to be a bully, ma'am, when you were a kid?
I was.
I can't believe it. I still cannot believe it.
I
How in
was.
the world?
And I ran the game. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is really, really shocking.
Skills coming out that really was good leadership skills. For your audience, don't follow that track.
Well, because for the stereotype, you really don't look like a bully at all, no? I mean, to be frank, ma'am, you look kind of small, kind of, petite.
I am small in stature, but powerful. Powerful in my articulation and manipulation
Wow.
at that time of how I wanted to get people to do things. And actually, that's when I really realized that I had the ability to
lead.
get what I wanted, right? And
Mhm.
get people to do what I wanted them to do. But the way I went about it, as probably what your team found in that clip on the docuseries that I did about from being an entrepreneur in my journey, was that I really realized quickly when I was getting ready to get beat up that that probably wasn't the right way to lead people.
Wow, that is just amazing. Wow, I still cannot believe it. But so, ma'am, you grew up in a family of 7 children, like you say, with strong legacy of faith and service. But what did your parents teach you about character, responsibility, and leadership before you ever wore a uniform?
Character was, wow, it was center stage. And I guess the first memory of a lesson learned was, and I don't want to shock your audience because I'm just a little snot-nosed girl from Darlington, South Carolina, blessed to be where I am and to have what I have. But
Yes.
I remember I was going out with my mom and she left me in the car to run an errand and told me not to get out the car. Of course, during those days, you could leave the kids in the car and they wouldn't go anywhere. But I
Mhm.
was hungry. My stomach was growling and I saw a store across the street and I wanted to get some tater chips, but I didn't have any money, but I knew my mom had money inside of her.
Mm.
They used to put the money there in where you could smoke, put it in the ashtray
Yeah.
and then the change and stuff. And I stole 50 cents from my mom to go buy some tater chips. Well, when my mom came back to the car and she saw all the evidence around my mouth and asked me, where did I go? I said, I ain't going anywhere. She was like, Tyler, yes, you did. You're lying now. And long story short, we got to the end that I stole 50 cents to go buy some tater chips. And I remember her telling me, when we get home, you're going to go in and tell your dad that you are a thief.
Wow.
And it still resonates with me today that I had to stand there in front of my dad, and I'm a daddy's girl.
Yes.
And I had to tell him that I stole 50 cents from my mom and that I was a thief. And his response, his facial expressions that I can see clearly now, was such of disappointment. And he says, that's not how we raised you. That's not what you are built on. You got to learn to do better. Of course, I got on probation. People call it restriction. My parents call probation.
Yes.
Not being able to do things. But that in that moment, I realized, one, I was wrong. Two, that someone that I love was so disappointed in my actions that I needed to be more mindful of that going forward.
Wow, that is just amazing. Now, you've ultimately reached a level of leadership that relatively few officers attain, especially women, especially African American. But what did the Army teach you about leadership, ma'am, that no classroom ever could?
I would tell you from my first interaction with my senior leader, the Army says you're supposed to coach, teach, mentor, and guide
Yes.
those that you lead. And the first interaction that I had with my first senior leader was not a good one. So
Hmm.
I learned from that experience to never, ever categorize or assume the ability of what your people could or could not do just
Yes.
on the basis of just looking at them, because that's what he did with me.
Hmm. It's really strange that you mentioned that. In my opinion, I've been in the Navy for almost 22 years now. I think most of the leaders I've had have all been exceptional, maybe except for one or two. But the I guess the question I have for you, ma'am, in the military, whether it's the Army, even the Navy, any branch of the U.S. Military, I think leadership is something we usually do very, very well, right? I really feel like we are a leadership organization. We just happen to have a bunch of hardware and stuff. But leadership, even at the lowest level, I remember when I joined the Navy almost 22 years ago as an E1, right, seaman recruit, lowest rank in the military. Still, I felt like the Navy was preparing me to be a leader, even at that lowest rank. But how come from time to time we still see some people who are in position of authority that really do not belong? They don't treat their people the way they are supposed to. Like every once in a while, it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while there is one leader who just gets to become a commanding officer or a skipper or commanding general who really doesn't belong. Why do you think that is?
I would say from my time in the seat and still evolving as a leader is that we learn the science of leadership, the theory,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't, it takes a special individual to learn the art of
Mm,
leadership. And the
powerful.
art of leadership is seeing people and valuing them for who they are. That
Yes.
requires that I have to garner a relationship. I have to put in some time to get to know you. I have to put in some
Yes.
time to help cultivate your leadership acumen. I have to
Mm,
put a part of me to give to you in order for you to grow and sharing my knowledge, abilities,
yes.
and skills. That's the
Wow.
art. That art requires time and cultivation. The
Yes.
science is easy. I teach at Bowie State University as a professor,
Yes.
leadership development. The theory is great. There are many books out there. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I wrote one, but it is the art of leadership
Wow, so powerful.
where we go wrong.
Man, really, it's all about people, isn't it? So, looking back over more than 30 years of leadership, who helped shape little Tia Young into becoming General Young?
Oh, well, it started out, well, my mom, my dad, church members, community members. When I grew up, it was where, you go down the road and you do something you had no business. Miss Sarah would pick your hind parts and send you home. And by the time you got home, you get another spanking because you're embarrassed with the family, all that good stuff. So that's the kind of environment I grew up in. But as
Yes.
I grew up in the military, or even before I got in the military, one particular that's in my book is Doris A. Woods, was my English teacher. And I think that's where I realized the caring and the intentionality of someone wanting to see you be successful, but
Yes.
getting that art part I talked about, uh, doing that in action and putting
Mm,
in the time it took to mold and cultivate my leadership or even my confidence, really, at that time, is what she did for me. But as
yes.
I progressed through the military, uh, Lieutenant General Tom Siemens, who I used to work for when I was in the Pentagon, there
Mm,
were other sergeants, specialists that I met that taught me lessons. I'm a believer that anyone can mentor you if they give you some advice that can help you grow. That's
yes.
a mentoring moment if you take it and you use it with intentionality to be better.
Wow. That is really powerful. Actually, this is a great segue, ma'am, to talk about your book, your best-selling book, which again, I believe everybody here should go ahead and get a copy. And the book is Dare to Lead Differently, right? 16 true on this, bites for bold leaders. I really, really love that. Why did this book have to be written, ma'am? Why did you write it?
Because the story needed to be told.
Yes.
I wrote this book honestly for my two girls, because as you know, in the military, half the time we're gone. And for
Yes.
3 years of their life, I was gone. I was out doing what I signed up for. I raised my right hand and said those 72 indelible words to support and defend the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed a lot, but I wanted them to understand some of the things mom had gone through and some of the things I experienced and lessons that I learned. I wrote it to pay homage to my husband, who took care of our girls while I was gone.
Yes.
Normally it's where the wife is at home. This time it's the male at home while mom goes away and supporting my career. And I
Yeah.
wrote it for that emerging leader or leader, seasoned leader, that needed to be either reminded or to be told that if you're talking about fear, here's
Yeah.
what you can do with fear. Here's what I did with fear. Learn from my experiences and
Yes.
continue to evolve as a leader.
Wow, that is so powerful, because I think you are right. Leadership is both science and it is art. But when you wrote your book, I really loved it because, yeah, you do talk about the science of leadership as well, but you also talk about your own experience and how you were able to actually put it into practice, which I think just makes it so memorable and really powerful. And let's start with Mrs. Wood. You did mention her, and I think she really played the crucial role in your development and you becoming such an awesome leader. Can you describe struggling academically and earning a 48 in English and believing the local factory might be your future, and then encountering Dr. Doris E. Woods?
Well, when I went to school, I will tell your audience, I was not the best student. All right. So hi, my name is Twanda. I am not the best student in school. I was a C, B student. Sometimes, as my book shares, I was a F student. And the time that I was coming toward the end of high school, really not knowing what was going to happen, where was I going to go next? I mean, my family, we never lacked for anything, but I came from humble beginnings.
Yes.
And the humble beginnings did not offer an opportunity for me to go to school. But it was what my mom and dad wanted me to do, because they never finished school. But some of the most strategic minds that I have ever met and great leaders that I've met in my time here on earth. But when I took this class, English class, Miss Dr. Doris A. Woods was my English teacher. She was the prim and the proper and the prestige of a doctor at that time. And I really didn't want to learn anything about English, really didn't put forth any effort. And as my book shares, in true transparency, my last grade in her class was a whopping 48. So I just knew, Tia, it's done. It's over with.
Wow.
And she saw something in me. She saw something in Tia that I didn't see in myself, and that was potential.
Yes.
And challenged me. Really, I thought she was just being an annoyance, because I got out of that class, and then she became my guidance counselor. I thought I was done with her. And she became my guidance counselor and began to guide me through, what is it you want to do? What is necessary to get you to the next step? Because I didn't want to stay in Darlington working in the factories, and nothing's wrong with the factories. That's how my mom and dad took care of us. But I knew that there was something more that Tia wanted to see. I wanted to see outside the boundary lines of Darlington, South Carolina. And the only way I knew how to do that was to go to school or going to a profession.
Wow.
Dr. Doris A. Woods became my guidance counselor and put me in drama class, of all things. I was like, what does drama class have to do with it? Well, you can tell by just interacting with me. Yeah, I can be a drama queen, I guess, as my kids call me. But she put me in that class, and that class taught me how to articulate my thoughts, how to really, that class afforded me the opportunity to kind of look a little bit deeper within Tia and gain that confidence that I had more to offer. And that there were other paths and options I could choose.
Wow.
And from that experience, she took us to the John Milton Schuler Festival at Claflin University, which is now my alma mater, and I'm a trustee of the board there. she allowed me to compete. Well, I didn't know I was competing for a scholarship. I thought it was, one of the things you got to do in the class. I've got to do my
Good.
best. I really liked theater. I like the oratory. I like having to come up with the speeches and having
Mm,
to share your thoughts in a very powerful way. And lo and behold, I was blessed to win a 4-year all expense paid scholarship to Claflin University. But the ironic thing, as I share in my book, I had to major in English. God has a
wow. That is really, really, really powerful. What a blessing! What a blessing! And one thing about drama, I did take drama when I was in high school too. I think I believe right. The last report I read, they say most people in America are more afraid of speaking in public than death and paying taxes. And if you're gonna be a leader, I think it's important for you to express yourself well. And even once you're gonna be a best-selling author, you need to write a book and have a compelling story and have an hook. And I think you can learn all of that in drama. That's why even lately I wrote an article from STEM to streams, right? Not just science, technology, engineering, math, but also art and social sciences. And I think I added reading to that also, uh, because if you are going to be a complete person and being able to lead all kinds of people, I think you don't just need the science, you need the art as well. Would you agree to
I
that,
would
ma'am?
agree. I would
Yeah.
agree. I think communication, as you know, is critical.
Yes.
How many times have you gone into meetings where the boss has given guidance, and he says or
Mm,
she says, "You good to go, Bob?" And you say,
yes.
"Yeah, I'm good." And then you walk out of the room, and then 5 minutes later, you're saying, "Tia, so what did they mean?
Yes.
What did he mean by this?" Where all you had to do is ask a clarifying question to gain that
Mm,
guidance. Because while communication is key, we're not all good communicators.
wow. And thinking again about Dr. Woods, what that makes me think about really is sponsorship. Yeah, it's true. It's good to have a coach. It's good to have a mentor, but sometimes you need a sponsor. Someone who's going to be speaking about you in the room where you are not and trying to find opportunities that are really well fitted for you. How much of leadership is really recognizing the potential in people? Like you even said, even a potential that you yourself didn't see in you, but Dr. Wood did, and really doing for people what they cannot do for themselves. Isn't that really crucial?
It is. I think we as leaders think in the mindset that we're potential finders,
Yes.
meaning the people that are on your team, the people in your organization that you get the honor and privilege to lead, you should be looking for what other potential they have. But
Mm,
again, that goes back to relationships. In order for me to know what your potential is, not just doing your job or doing a task, I
yes.
need to be challenging you to step outside that box. And the only way
Mm,
that I can do that is to get to know that art in leadership,
yes.
of getting to know who you are. And
Mm,
once I find it, my job goes even deeper. It's to cultivate,
yes.
it's to give it a platform, it's to give it an opportunity to be able to thrive and for
Yes.
you to be able to grow from that experience so that you can be better at your craft, but also you're a better tool in the organization to help the vision and mission of the organization to be successful and to be realized.
Yes, ma'am. And I believe the Navy just stole it from the Army, right? Mission first, people always. That was my number one leadership mantra. And we say that a lot in the military. But what does it actually mean? Yeah, of course, we do have to accomplish the mission. That's why we are a unit or a command. We have something to do. But people always like to really truly caring for your people, all of your people. That can be a challenge, can it?
It can be a challenge, but I think it's our perspective as leaders. Do you
Yes.
see your people in your organization as resources, or
Mm,
do as human resource tools, or do you see them as humans who
yeah.
bring tools with them to help
Wow.
further the mission of the organization? It's the
Yes.
perspective, because that perspective is going to decide how you interact with me.
Mm,
In the military and civilian sector, we give guidance or,
yes.
or give instructions because, let's say, for in the military, I need you to know this information because it can be a life or death situation.
Yes.
Take that and overlay it into the corporate setting. It could be a life or death situation to the organization.
Mm.
I need to make sure that I am communicating with you in a way that helps you see yourself in the vision of the organization and the mission. That your part that you play is so intricately important to that success that
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I can to help you not just grow. I'm reading this book, Lead Different by Dave Clare, and he's talking about not just growing. We talk about growing, that growth that we have as a leader.
Yes.
But from his perspective, which I truly agree with, it's about evolving. If
Mm.
we evolve as leaders, that means that Tia is going to learn something about herself
Yes.
she can use to then help others evolve. But if
Wow.
I'm focused on growing, that's just my growth. But if I'm
Yeah.
evolving, I'm bringing other people with me.
That's really, really powerful. And back to your best-selling book. So everybody, again, make sure to get the copy of the book. It's available everywhere books are sold. Dare to Lead Differently. One thing that pops out, you said 16 chew on this. I guess number one is why 16 bites? And then what does it really mean to lead differently?
Well, 16 bites because I was tired of writing down stories. Writing stories. No, in all true transparency, I felt that those 16 to start with were a good foundation
That's
to get
powerful.
readers to understand who Tia was and who Tia is and how I have evolved in my growth as a leader. And so
Mm.
some things to consider because in the book they're reflective after every chapter, every nugget that's
Yes.
given. I'm asking you questions. This is just not a book for you to read and then just put on the nightstand. No, I want you got some work, some reps to do to put in to continue to cultivate your own leadership
Yes.
awareness. And that to me is what it means to dare to lead differently.
Mm.
Cultivating my own self awareness to enhance my own knowledge about me as a leader and my DNA and why I tick the way I tick. Why
Yeah.
do I lead the way I lead? Why do I respond the way I respond?
Mm.
Gain a better understanding of me because if I do that, then I can challenge you to lead yourself differently. But I first got to know
So
who I am.
powerful. So powerful. Wow. And out of the 16 bites, ma'am, if you could give an emerging leader listening right now, and I like to focus on junior enlisted and junior officers, any branch of the military, they are listening right now. You could only give them 3 of your 16 leadership bites. Which 3 would you give them and why?
Now, that one was a hard question because I like all 16.
Yes.
But I would say, and I'm gonna pick up the book because I
Yes,
have to
sir.
go back to it. Of
I have the book right here too.
awesome. So if your people once they get the book, turn
Yes.
to um, nugget number 8,
Yes.
and
That's
yeah, nugget number 8 on page 71.
mhm.
And that nugget, I like that nugget because
That's
that
soldier to seasoned leaders, right?
correct. So we
Mhm.
all go through different seasons.
Yes.
As a leader, if you're evolving, you're going through different seasons. I'm going through a season of self, which I
Mm.
did when I first got in the military. It was all about me and
Yeah.
plugging those next steps to get to that next. Oh, I need that job. Okay, let me do that. Oh, I need to go to this school. Okay, let me do
Yes.
that. Then there's going to be the season of drought,
Hmm.
where I'm wondering, did I make the right decision?
Yes.
Am I leading at my best that I can lead for where I am now and where my growth is?
Yes.
Am I moving in the right azimuth
Hmm.
trajectory? Lieutenant General Beagles, who you had on your
Yeah.
podcast, who's amazing. He and I went to school together, but he talks, his book is When the Map Runs Out.
Yes.
When the map runs out, does drought happen? Because there's
Mm.
no other things on the paper that tells me I gotta go this way and this is the way. There's no other manual that tells me next. I gotta now depend on me. And then there's seasons of that new growth where you
Mm.
are challenging yourself. And then the season of significance where you say, oh wow, I got it. I plugged that one. I got
Wow.
that. I can put that tool in my toolkit. So I like that. I like that nugget. Nugget
Mm.
number, and I wrote these down. I'm looking at my
Yes.
paper. Because I was like, oh, he's trying to get general. Don't be trying to get me. Is nugget number 8, kickball to battlefield. That particular one is when I was stationed and deployed to Afghanistan. I quickly realized, because I had a very diverse team that I was leading, that what I had done in the States and how I was leading could not be the same, because I was over in Afghanistan trying to lead the same way. No, I had to change how I led, because I had more people that were from different cultures that I had to learn those cultures and be able to communicate. Back to that importance of communicating in a way that they understood what my expectations were, and I understood what their expectations were of me as a leader. And from that experience, I evolved understanding that a leader has to be able to communicate in very diverse ways. That when doing it one way, being a one-trick pony, is not the best way of leading.
Wow. Powerful.
And then, of course, chapter number 1, we just talked about Mrs. Woods, because that chapter, for me, to your audience, I always want you, and I encourage you, I implore you, never forget from where you come from. That's your starting point. That's your foundation. On that foundation, you can build upon it to strengthen that foundation. But if you forget, I came from working in the cotton fields, suckling tobacco. That was where my mom sent me. When you asked that question earlier, the character building. I worked in the cotton field and suckling tobacco before I went to school, because she wanted me to understand this is a hard, earnest day's work. And if you do not be successful in school, this is where you're coming back to. So that lesson I learned out there in those fields were, do your best even when people are not looking at you. Because she caught me one time not doing my best. So I said, oh, I know about these rows it's hot in South Carolina, these rows alone, nobody's going to see that I forgot this piece of grass around, hold this piece of grass around this cotton. And she came to me and she said, no one has to see it, but you know it. So what is your standard? Because if you don't set the standard, and I've learned along my life's journey that if you don't set a standard as a leader, if you don't meet the standard, you then set a new standard, which then becomes the substandard, which is now the standard.
Wow. You've got to say that again, General. Please say it one more time. Wow.
When you, as a leader, you set the standard, but when you don't meet the standard, you set a new standard, which then becomes a substandard, which is now the standard your people follow and expect.
Wow. That is so insightful. Man, when I became a commanding officer, I reached out to all of my mentors, and one of them told me, if you see something and you don't say anything, that becomes the new standard. And I always remembered that. And wow, that is powerful. Now, in your book, you also emphasize that leadership is really not about title or rank. So leadership beyond the title. You eventually earned stars. And I remember when I was in boot camp, a flag officer was like a demigod or something. I couldn't even just shake your hand or say hi.
I know, make way, make way.
But later on, I understood all of the flag officers, they wear their pants the same way I do. But we definitely respect the office. But what did become a general, a flag officer, teach you about the limitation of rank, position, and authority?
It taught me that my rank may get me in the room, but it won't keep me there.
Yes.
And I mean that by when I first got promoted, it was actually the day I got promoted. And I love telling this story. The day I got promoted, I came through Fort Bragg's gates, and there was a young soldier standing there. You got to get your ID checked and everything. Yeah. And my ID card had already changed to general officer, but on my shoulder was still colonel. And he looked at my card, and he looked at me, and he looked at me. And I said, yeah, man, they made me a general. Can you believe that? I was like, that's crazy, isn't it? But here's the beauty of the transformation that I saw, and that really spoke to my heart of, Tia, this is the kind of leader you want to be. Don't let that rank, don't let that star change who you are. and
Yes.
how you interact with people and how you change the atmosphere for people. If you're going to do
Mm.
that, change it for the better for them, not being arrogant and boastful about that rank. This young man, when it came time to salute me, he reared those shoulders back and he gave the sharpest salute,
Yes.
smiling, just a cheesing. Even as I drove off, I looked in my rearview
Wow.
mirror. He was still standing there because what I showed him was possibility.
Wow.
And I said to
That's
him,
amazing.
that can be you. You could be the sergeant major of the Army. You could
Yes.
be a sergeant major, but you
That's
got to put in
amazing.
the reps. So to me, my rank didn't get me in to be a leader. My rank doesn't
Yes.
make me because that rank can be taken, right?
Mm.
I can give it away. Can't be
Yes.
taken. I digress. It can't be taken. I can give it away through my actions. But
Yes.
Tia, Twanda E. Young, will always be who she is.
Mm.
So I am an atmosphere changer with the rank, and I'm an atmosphere changer without the rank. So when you meet me, you will never normally hear me say, "Hi, I'm Brigadier General retired Twanda E. Young."
Yes.
You hear me say, "Hi, I'm Twanda," or "I'm Tia," or "I'm Tyler," depending
Mm.
on how I feel. Which nickname I'ma use. You know, it's bad my mama name me Twanda, but call me Tyler. But anyway, that's another story.
That's
But
fine.
it's how you see yourself. If you
Mm.
see yourself that rank makes who you are, then when
Yes.
you don't make it to the next rank, you feel less than.
Wow.
Be
That
who
that
you
is
are.
really powerful. Man, because I looked when we were doing the research at your speech when you became a general, and you said something that really touched me. You said, Twanda Young, the colonel, is still the same one who is the general now. Don't treat me any differently. And that really shows a lot of humility and self awareness. Because, I mean, being a 1-star flag officer, you get your own flag for crying out loud in the most powerful army in the world, but yet you are so humble and you are still the same person you used to be. How do you explain that?
Well, I would tell you, Bob, initially when I came into the military, I didn't know what kind of leader I was, right? I'm learning, I'm evolving.
Yes.
And for many years in that uniform, I wore many faces, trying to please whatever leader I had or whatever environment I was in. Back to those different seasons as I evolved through those seasons. And that became honestly tiring. That
Hmm.
I didn't know, did I have this face or this demeanor when I interacted with this person or that person? And one day, as I was going through an experience, the reality set in. How about you just try to be you? If you
Hmm.
be you, then no matter where you are, you don't have to pick up another face and put it on. You don't have to pick up another mask and put it on. You can just stand firmly in who you are, good, bad, or indifferent,
Yes.
flaws and all, but you are Twanda E. Young. And
Hmm.
that's what your people deserve. They deserve to see someone authentic,
Yes.
transparent, that is going to lead them from a place of feeling that I'm in it to win it with you, not I'm in it to get all I can from you to get me to the next level of where I think I need to be.
Wow. That's really, really powerful. Now, let's talk about fear a little bit because you did talk about that in your book as well. And I feel like for most people, fear is what prevents them from going to the next level. It's, I guess they call it paralysis by analysis, where people just get stuck. But you talk about turning fear on its head. What has fear taught you, General, about courage?
That with fear, and to me that you can have courage and still have fear, right? That's that
Mm.
uncertainty, that little anxiety, that little twitch you get in your stomach when
Yes.
you're like, hmm. But I've learned to combat that is looking at how I make decisions, because
Mm.
that's where most of my angst would come from. Am I making the right decision? Did I take in, the military teaches you the military decision making process. Well,
Yes.
that's a great process with if we're going to fight and the different courses of action and all, but I don't have time to do all that.
Mm.
I needed a simple process. So I've come up with the SID approach to leadership decision making.
Wow.
SID, strategic focus. What is my strategic focus? If I know what I'm focused on, then I can put fear in a container. I can compartmentalize it. This
Yes.
is where I need more information, where I have the angst. But this is the courage I need to have to get to where I want to go.
Mm.
And the intentional return on investment and commitment.
Yes.
What am I going to gain from this strategic meeting this goal? What is it going to do for me internally? What is it going to do for me externally? And then the D is, do I have enough information to make a decisive decision, an informed decision? And fear tends to be where you don't feel clear
Yes.
about the trajectory or the direction you're going in. But if you take a pause, right, and take the time to really think out the process very quickly, using the SID approach to decision making, that fear can be lessened. I think a little fear is always good. Look, I had a little fear coming on this show. I'm like, I don't know what Bob's going to ask me, and I got an idea, but I have the courage to stand in my own who I am. There's value that Tia has to offer. There's leadership experiences and challenges that I have that someone in your audience needs to hear my testimony,
Yes.
to know that the test I went through, that they may be going through it, but they can get to the other end of it. And here's a possible solution or option they can use by what I've done. That's another reason why I wrote the book. But if I didn't have the courage to accept your gracious offer to come on and share value and let fear hold me back, then I'm not being true to what I say I'm called to do, which is to make impact and to add value.
That is really powerful, and I really love the way you end your book. Right, chapter 9 is we talk about nugget 13 through 16, and two of them I want to highlight is leader's legacy and also daughter's truth. I have two daughters myself, and they've really inspired me throughout my entire career to do things the right ways, because it's not just about me, but it's about what my kids, my daughters, are going to think of me in the future too. So I guess the question I want to ask you, ma'am, is after all the promotion, all of the command, all of the award and accomplishment, how do you define legacy today?
Oh, wow. That's a deep question right there. Come on now. I would say legacy is really what it says, giving someone a leg to stand on or to lead from. Our stories are powerful.
Yes.
And our stories can leave legacy. It can impact legacy. You talk about the last story about a daughter's truth. Honestly, there would be no General Retired Twanda E. Young sitting here.
Yes.
Back to our previous conversation about the courage and the fear. I had applied for general officer the first time. And as you know, and many of your listeners may know, that if there is no position for you, you don't get promoted.
Yes.
And for me, that first time, I didn't get promoted. So I was like, hey, it's cool beans. All right, I'm done. Colonel's good enough. Heck, I didn't think I was going to make it to colonel. So kudos, Tia. You did great. You passed captain and you made it to colonel.
Yes.
But my daughter, back to those 3 years I was gone when they were in the 9th and 10th grade. When I came back, they were going to college and going into their senior grade. My daughter, Tyra, our youngest daughter, wrote me a letter because I was distraught, right? I was down that I didn't reach a goal that I wanted to. Never really thought about becoming a general officer, but once it got into my purview that it could, a realm possible, it was like, hey, I'm gonna go for it.
Yes.
I got to. I'm anal retentive, so I got the A type. I got to get it. I got to make it. And not making it, I felt like I had failed them in a sense. And she wrote me a letter at 17, and she told me, Mom, I don't know why, and I still have that letter to this day. I don't know why you didn't make it. I don't know why God did not allow for you to make it to the next level. Maybe it just wasn't your season.
Wow.
And what I want you to do is apply, because I had told them, hey, I'm going to retire. I'm not applying again. She said, I want you to apply if not for you, apply for the sacrifice we as a family have made for you to get this far. Do
Wow.
it for us. And God bless, and I made it to general officer. So now I can never live it down. Of course, she says I'm the reason why general officers.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, that is so powerful. When you wrote the book, was there a chapter that was most challenging for you to write?
Was there? Not really. I would say one that I really,
Or maybe one that surprised you or changed your way of thinking prior to writing the book?
I would say the one that gave me, really kind of tied everything to its own, what
Yes.
was the seasons of change, that
Wow.
I could see the cultivation and my evolution of growth from Tia the young wet behind the ears
Yes.
second lieutenant to now Tia the general officer, the mom, the wife, the daughter, the friend, and looking back on that, of the different decisions that I had made throughout
Wow.
my career, good, bad, or indifferent. Those that people, it made me reflect about those things where I was successful in, and the things that I just fell flat on my face on,
Mm.
and the decisions and how I made decisions and the impact. And so I guess one in particular, that one, the seasons, but also there was one in there where I talked about a young soldier understanding that my leadership not only impacted the person I got the honor and privilege to lead, but
Yes.
that rippling effect that it reached past them to others
Mm.
in their lives. So I
That's
had a young soldier when I was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, as a battalion commander of the Conus Replacement Center, responsible for sending over 50,000 members into war and civilians from all services. And I had different units there helping me do that mission.
mm.
I was a bachelorette there, so all I had time to do was work. I worked all the time. And in that, I would tell my soldiers, hey, there should never be a time where you're in a situation that you can't reach me for
Yeah.
me to help you. I'd rather for you to wake me up or call me
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that I can help you. Yes, I'm gonna chew your hind parts out. I might tap the hind parts, but at least keep your rank, right? And I can be a conduit to be a shield for you. And this young gentleman decided, this soldier decided he was going to get a DUI.
Mm.
Got the DUI. Of course, as I've always told my soldiers, I can't take your rank. You can give it to me based on your actions,
Mm-hmm.
based on your decisions. And that decision caused him to get his hind parts tapped. Now, I could have taken, as you know, I could have taken his rank. I could have taken his money. I
Yes.
could have put a DUI. I could have also chaptered him. But
Yes.
I thought about those two beautiful daughters that
Mm.
he and his wife just had, and that my decision was not only going to impact him, but impact them.
Yes.
So how do I, as a leader, still do what I need to do to teach this soldier a lesson that
Mm.
will forever stick with him, but also have the leniency to understand that I don't have to be as heavy handed as I have the authority to be?
Yes. Wow.
Well, I did not. I gave him the punishment he deserved, but it wasn't as much as I could have.
Mm-hmm.
And that soldier came back into my unit and became a stellar soldier as an example, using his story to
Yes.
help run my drug and alcohol program. We became number one on the post. An
Wow.
company on an infantry post being number one
Wow.
is normally not heard of, but because of how I interacted with him, how I led him, how I showed him that
Mm.
being a leader, although you have the authority, it doesn't mean you got to use it all the time. Use it
Wow.
sparingly. Hold leadership very safe and sacred to your heart, because your decisions impact
Mm.
lives. Those lives are real lives that matter.
Wow, that is so powerful. We are already running out of time, General. I won't keep a flag officer a minute long than we are supposed to, but I do want to mention these other books that you have co-written. So many of them. One of them is this one here, Destiny Expose. You wrote a chapter. I believe this one was Sit at the Table, if I remember correctly. Can you tell us just really quickly what was the essence of your chapter in this book?
In that anthology with a beautiful group of women, I mean, amazing women, telling our stories to encourage, inspire others to lead differently. I wrote about perfectionism being the silent killer of leadership excellence,
Yes.
because I deal with perfectionism. And as you shared earlier in the episode, that, making the rank of brigadier general, very, very few, less than 1% make it,
Yeah.
and even lesser percent make it as from being a female,
Yes.
even lesser percent
Yeah.
make 0.3
And
from my last numbers
being African American too, ma'am.
make it. So I gotta be, I gotta show up right. I gotta do things right. I'm always looking over my shoulder to make sure did I do this exactly right, that I'm not embarrassing those I get to lead or embarrassing myself, and dealing with that, understanding that perfectionism almost caused me to get fired.
Wow.
And that's what I share in that story. But I also share how you deal with perfectionism.
Yes.
Looking at that, one, realizing you will never be perfect. I know it's simple, but it
So
is
powerful.
that is so powerful. When I came to that reality that, Tia, you're good. You're good at what you do. You know your craft.
Yes.
Your skills, knowledge, and abilities, you got those. You're
So
never
powerful.
going to be perfect, because if you're perfect, you're not going to grow. You're not going to evolve, because
Yes.
you think you've met the pinnacle. And coming to that realization, and I give some other tools and tips in that chapter, but understanding when you
Amazing.
are perfectionism, you're trying to hold everybody else to that same standard.
Yes. And then I don't know how you had time, but you wrote another chapter for this book right here. Her pen, her piece, the power of silence.
Yeah. Now, in the power of silence, she's like, how can you be a leader in power? Look, when I was invited to talk about this and to write about it, I was like, this is kind of oxymoronic.
Yes.
But as I dug deeper into myself and into different situations that I had found myself or seen, the power of silence is not a weakness, it's a strength. Knowing when to say what you need to say and metering that. As a coach that I do now, as an executive coach, helping business leaders build their businesses, knowing as I guide them through that process, knowing when to be quiet and letting them figure it out. Some things we got to figure out on our own.
So
And if I
powerful.
tell you everything, then that's not your vision. That's my
Yeah.
vision.
Well,
So that power of silence is a strength.
and then you also had time to write a chapter piece within, and this chapter was the leader in the mirror, confronting the leader you really are.
Well, given that we don't have much time, I'm just going to give your audience a little sneak peek. The person in the mirror is where I learned a lesson that this is one time where I fell flat on my face.
Wow.
I'll give you that intriguing. I fell flat on my face, but
That's
I
amazing.
rebounded that I had to do some things that made me uncomfortable, but I
Yes.
still had to do them. Read that book if ever you need to look in the mirror.
And then there's another book. It's not out yet. It's going to be coming out next month. And I want everybody to get a copy. It's Whisper of
Yes.
Serenity. You have a powerful chapter in that one also. All right. We are running out of time, General. So as we end the show, what can my audience do to add value back to you, ma'am?
Well, I would invite them to join us. We do every other month a leadership mastermind called Seat at the Table. The next one is the 3rd of September. All you have to do is go out on our website. It's at no cost, but it is packed full of value. It's an hour and 15 minutes where we're bringing leaders on, talking about this particular one. It's about a leader's mind, spirit, and body, giving you practical, implementable strategies on how to be better in those areas. And then the one that you have up on the screen now is the Dare to Lead Differently Summit, which is a virtual summit happening the 16th through the 18th of December. And I would like to give to 2 of your audience members an opportunity to speak 20 minutes on this platform and to share a resource tool that will help other leaders be better leaders for society.
Wow. Thank you. We are so grateful for your time, General. Thank you for speaking to us. And as we end the show, the last question I'm going to ask, ma'am, one word that comes to mind to kind of describe or crystallize our experience on this podcast today. One word that comes to mind.
P3 mentality.
P3 mentality. I love that. I love that. Thank you. What a great honor and privilege to be speaking to General Twanda E. Young, U.S. Army retired. Thank you so much, ma'am. Really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for the honor.
All right. All right, everybody. This is one for the book. What a great honor. So again, everybody, please make sure to get a copy of the book. And the book is Dare to Lead Differently, available everywhere books are sold. Also, make sure to get a copy of Destiny Expose. The general has one great chapter there. And we also talked about the chapter here about the leader looking in the mirror, peace within. And then there is a brand new chapter she's written that's going to be out next month, Whisper of Serenity. And I'm going to have links in the description for the podcast. Now, today's going to be kind of a special day. I have back-to-back podcasts. Next, in about 5 minutes, I'm going to be speaking to Coach Michelle Von Ruden. She's also a Maxwell leadership coach. We're going to be talking about leadership, resilience, and purpose, going through what you go through. And right after her, I'm going to be talking to someone who's become one of my mentors as well. He's a retired U.S. Navy captain. We're talking about Captain John Jesse Carter. He wrote the book, The Loudest Sound is Silence. We're going to be talking about leadership lesson from the bridge to the boardroom. And of course, you're going to get all of those podcasts by the end of the day, whatever your favorite podcast platform is. Okay, thanks again for watching. And just a reminder, the friend in the spotlight this week is Admiral Mike Studman. We had the podcast last week, and this Friday it is going to be the one and only Brigadier General Twanda E. Young. I'm already writing that post now. It should be up for everybody to see this coming Friday. All right, that's all I have for now. See you again in 5 minutes. If you can stick around, and we can listen to my live conversation with Coach Michelle Von Ruden in just a moment.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If today's episode added value to your leadership journey, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us again for more wisdom nuggets on how to lead better and achieve greater success. Remember, leadership is the most critical skill of our time. The world will always need leaders to inspire others, drive innovation, and execute meaningful strategy. So why not count yourself among the bold leaders shaping the 21st century? Until next time, stay inspired, stay committed, and keep leading with excellence.